Hello friends, welcome back to my studio. Hope you're well. Thank you so much for all the feedback I got about music in these vlogs or just studio sounds, and the vast majority of you want my voice. You want to hear about my process and what's going on, so I'm of course very happy to, going forward, make sure I've got a voiceover explaining what I'm doing. The vlog also has one of the quickest amount of views and likes that I've ever had, so a really big response. It's so heartwarming, so thank you so much for being here. And so today's vlog is about trialing a new paper, the Reeves paper, the cotton paper that I've shown previously is quite an expensive printmaking paper, and I found a potential alternative that's a little bit cheaper. I think it might even be a few dollars cheaper per sheet. So it's a handmade paper, so it comes in sheets. So let's turn the camera around and I'll show you what I got up to testing this new paper. So this here is the rice paper that I've shown before. The thinner the paper, the better it pulls the paint from the plate. Here's a few examples that you would have seen in a previous vlog. So it's, yeah, very thin. Tissue paper's good as well. And then this Reeves paper, and it's very thick. It's a cotton, 100% cotton, handmade paper in France. You can see the edge there of where it sits in the trays when it's being made. I can't remember what the GSM of this, but it's very heavy and thick, and I found it pulls paint off the plate really well. So this is the alternative I'm trialing. It's 100% cotton rag paper as well. It's by Somerset. So the plate I'm using is an 8 by 10 inch, so I've just tore these papers down to be slightly bigger than the plate itself, as you can see here. I have in the past used painter's tape to tape the edges to help with the registration, but I'm just going with that today. These are a heap of papers that I'll use to take ghost prints and things like that to help clean up the plate as I'm working today. I'll begin with showing you the Reeves paper first. It is a etching paper and it's designed to be wet. When you do etching, you have your paper wet. And have a look at this, how it sticks, and as you can see, I didn't let this dry overnight. That sort of thing happens when you leave the paint to dry. It has just pulled that completely clean from the plate, and that's what I really love about this paper with the gel plate, that it just it gives a lovely finish to it because of the type of paper that it is. Because it's thick, gives you a final product that perhaps is a little better. The tissue paper and the rice paper probably lends itself more to collage, but if you're using this as I do as a completed print, having it on a really good quality paper is wonderful. And it's a very smooth paper as well compared to using, in the past I've also trialed watercolor paper, and because of the nature of the texture of that, to be able to hold the watercolor, even the smoother watercolor papers still have quite a texture to them. So this is a lovely heavy paper, very absorbent, as I said, because it's designed to be able to take water, and you get a little bit less pull from the plate once the paint is on, because you've got those layers, and then it's not the paper touching the plate. You've got a paint layer on, so you're relying on the paint to pull the paint, if that makes sense. Just creating a little landscape here. That's some of the phthalo green that I've put on. I started with the permanent violet as a background, And yeah, I don't use a gel plate necessarily in perhaps the traditional way. I mean, it's a fairly new thing, whether you can call it, say that it has tradition yet. But yeah, I really use it as a painter, probably would use a printmaking tool, I would say. So I've just got a icy pole stick there, a thick one that I apply the paint with, so I'm protecting the plate as much as possible. Of course, if you use anything metal, you do risk cutting the plate. So wooden tools are fabulous to use as an alternative. And yeah, the main thing that I had to get my head around was working in reverse, particularly because I'm using it like a painter. Yeah, figuring out where things go. See, that is still very, very sticky to the plate. Yeah, it's been a big learning curve, but having the print there really does help me register where I'm going and what's going on. These little shapes are nice because I'm painting and the paint is thick rather than it being rolled out. It does give these little marks, if I can just show you up close, and I don't like them at all. So you can just rub them with your finger or with a little paintbrush and just smooth those lines out. They're like a ripple that happens, and you have to work pretty quickly because of course the acrylic paint does dry pretty quick. But yeah, I've found that you can just smooth those areas out. They do offer a little bit of texture, but to me they seem like more of an accidental process texture rather than a purposeful texture. So I do like to just blend those out and smooth those out. I'm loving those little shapes, so I continue on emphasizing those. I really don't like the sky. It's doing nothing for me at all. And you can see I've got a piece of paper underneath the gel plate with a line that is a guide for me as a horizon line. So I know that as long as I register the paper properly, and I'm using the bottom edge of that paper underneath to line the plate up, and I'm feeling either side of the page where the gel plate is, so I'm getting that border around as well. And that's left a lovely little mountain or little wave in the background on the horizon, little bit of an happy accident. And yeah, so using that horizon line as a marker really does help you know where to place things as you're painting, seeing as if you're going to use your plate as I'm doing here. And I'm just bringing in another colour, that the Titan Green Pale that I love. I'm just trying to tone down that phthalo green a little bit. And it hasn't picked it up as well as I wanted, so I'm just doing a little bit of blending there with the brush. And in a previous vlog you would have seen that the Titan Green Pale has yellow ochre in it, or yellow oxide. So I've been playing around in recent vlogs, as you would have seen, using the two together. And yeah, they're giving really lovely results, so I'm continuing on with that. Did you see how much that paper is still sticking to that plate? It's really absorbent. It's really great. So yeah, I'm just trying to build on the landscape here, and I'm taking off so it doesn't pull any more off the plate into those areas. Just using a baby wipe to take all of that off. But I'm leaving a little bit of that yellow oxide on there as a registration point for me to know where to put the paint. So here I'm mixing those two together, the yellow oxide and the Titan Green Pale. They make a lovely yeah, this kind of mustardy colour, and just helps tone down that very rich yellow oxide. So see there how the registration of that, leaving that there, is helping me. And I'm hoping not too much will be pulled back off, that will only get that new paint colour. And there we go, gives me that. Perhaps not as much as I wanted, but see, it has improved those marks that are on there. Now this sky, I decide that perhaps having a bit of dark will help lift the sky. So I'm putting this blend, you'll have to go back to a really long vlog ago where I mixed up, might be in the Georgia O'Keeffe vlog about using her paint colours. All I know is that it's paint tub number 8. I can't tell you what's in it. It's very patchy, but it's beginning to give what I'm after. Can you see, because of that fallow green horizon, it needed some more dark in it. So now I'm just putting some antique white over, just trying to knock back some of those stronger marks that I had. And of course I'm cutting out my rubbing. I am giving this a good rub before I pull the print. It's getting there. I like that really softness that's in the sky now, but it's a little bit, yeah, weird at the top. So I'm just doing the same process, almost giving like a ghost print to print over, and I'm just going to take the very top edge of that paint off, so I'm still having the darker colour show through. I don't want to cover that up. And there we go, much better. Really like that. And the other thing's weird, I've got this kind of area where I haven't got any paint at all. So again, I'm trying to work out on the plate where that area is, so I can just lay a little bit of paint down in there and get that proper rectangle shape going. So this is some unbleached titanium with that mix, the salmony colour that I've showed 1 or 2 vlogs ago. I'm just picking up a little bit so it's not so thick. It'll just give me a light coating in the area. And there we go, got my rectangle back. I wonder if any of you have a good tip about cleaning the rollers. I know a lot of people leave the paint on, and just because of my previous training, you're meant to treat your rollers so preciously and not leave anything on. They can get marks in them that really ruin their ability to roll out cleanly. So yeah, I'd love any tips. So let's now go into using this Somerset paper and see how it compares. So I'm doing a very similar start with the permanent violet pale, and I've decided to cover the whole plate so I get that lovely rectangle. Now look how well that stuck to the plate. It has pulled every single piece of paint off there. That is an absolute clean plate. So already I'm thinking this Somerset paper is going to be a wonderful alternative. It's a lovely thick paper as well, and I'm not sure why it's any cheaper, because it seems to me to be the same quality. I know French art supplies, you know, the French have been making just absolutely amazing supplies for years, so perhaps it's just that, you know, things just get a reputation. But yeah, this paper so far is looking like it'll be absolutely lovely to use, and good to know that because it's just that little bit cheaper, I won't be as precious with it perhaps as I might be with the dearer one. As I said, just doing very similar type of marks. And yeah, just using that to take a little bit of the excess so I get a variance. And yeah, I'm using my fingers there to feel where the edge of the plate is and using the bottom of the paper to register. So I'm getting that horizon line pretty much in the same place each time. You can buy, I think they're fairly new on the market, a little registration jig that you can keep your paper slotting into the left-hand corner. I kind of like that it can be a little bit off. It shows it's perhaps a little bit more handmade, but good to use if you're wanting that really accurate registration. As I said, I really liked those little oval sort of shapes. I don't know where they came from. I don't know that I've made those marks before, but really enjoyed them. So I'm doing them again on this one. And yeah, this paper's really sticking to the plate, so it's really sucking up the paint. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm not sure whether it's because I've warmed up and this is the second one for the day, but I feel this print is working better compositionally than the other one. It is doing that same rippling in the paint because, as I said, because the paint's thick, that's nothing to do with the paper or the plate. It's the thickness of the paint, and as you're pulling it off, it makes those marks really easy to smooth out with a brush. I think this might be a damp brush, but a dry brush would work as well, or the tip of your finger. So this is, I think, just some of the unbleached titanium that I'm using there. And I'm just rolling off the edges, trying to get a softer edge so it blends into the other colours better. Doesn't look like a big blob, and it works really quite well. Yeah, I'm really liking this print. I think the sky just, and you know, this can happen with things, some paintings or prints just take hours and hours and hours to come together, and other things can happen really very fast and come together so quickly that it's what I say is they painted themselves, and sometimes they really do. So again, because the other print had these colours in it, I'm going in with that mix of the Titan Green Pale and the Yellow Oxide, and a little bit of that Venetian Red with Titanium White mix. And yeah, it's really lovely. I don't know what these shapes would be in the landscape, but I'm really enjoying them, and I'm looking forward to doing more of those. There you go. You know I'm not afraid to get my hands in amongst it. Can often end up with more on me than I do on the page. Same thing, I'm using those old marks as a registration point for me. And I am also looking at the print and trying to decide where I want this colour. I'm just trying to infill this shape a little bit. And that's the straight Titan Green Pale. And bang on where I wanted it. That lighter colour is just lifting that, bringing those shapes to the foreground and helping that horizon drop back. I'm just wondering about those little marks, if I can just soften those off. They're just kind of stuck there, standing out. So just blending a little bit. The unbleached titanium or a Titan buff is the alternative in the golden range, can just help mute colours. So yeah, I can see that that is worked, and it's sitting much better, just knocking that back a little bit and having that soft edge, having that blended over. And I love the shape of this horizon line. So here they are together, and I would say Somerset is a really great alternative, and I will use that going forward. I really hope you've enjoyed today and found it useful. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a lovely week, and I shall see you next week. Bye.